Just like you did in 2008, you can defy the conventional wisdom.
President Obama's been back on the campaign trail.
You can't overcome the cynicism of our politics. You can't overcome the special interest and the big money. You can't elect a skinny guy with a funny name, Barack Obama. You can't tackle our biggest challenges. Everybody said, no, you can't. And in 2008, you showed them, yes, we can.
January the 20th, 2009, when Senator Obama was inaugurated as President Obama up on those steps behind me. He arrived being hailed as a new kind of leader with a major international outlook who would change the image of the United States around the world and lead in a more consensual way. However, in the midterm elections at the end of 2010, it's domestic, not foreign issues, which are dominating the agenda. In fact, it could easily be said that his election slogan could be the same as the last Democratic president, Bill Clinton, who said simply, "It's the economy, stupid."
And the buck stops with the president.
We've got real problems at home. And with an unemployment rate that's still over 9%, with fundamental economic anxiety about the loss of manufacturing, a problem that all Western countries have been facing, but certainly is acute here too, with all the recent financial meltdowns, with an ongoing concern that we've been overspending and underinvesting, with the looming retirement of the baby boomers, upward escalatory trends in healthcare costs. You put it all together and Americans are fundamentally uneasy about the economic times in which they live.
I feel that we're in an area where there's not very many jobs, so it's kind of like community helping each other.
But how could this affect his foreign policies?
An incumbent is held accountable for certain things. We all know that list starts with the economy, and pretty quickly it then moves on to the general state of stability in the world. And a turbulent world is not a good thing for an incumbent president seeking re-election.
Presidents, even when they think they're going to focus primarily on domestic issues because that's what voters care about, because they're president of the United States, they end up having to become foreign policy presidents. So they can't avoid foreign policy. President Obama has a big foreign policy agenda.
The economy writ large is certainly far and away issue number one, and that involves matters of foreign trade and foreign finance, as well as traditional domestic policy. Exchange rates matter in trade because it's a fairly simple, straightforward observation that if a country's currency is undervalued, its goods could be cheaper. And therefore, it competes more easily and unfairly with production elsewhere, including in one's own country. I've always been impressed by how even those who are challenged by mathematics in school get basic things about numbers that affect their pocketbook.
But how will US voters expect their newly elected politicians to act in terms of foreign policy? For example, can we expect foreign policy to be immune from Washington's highly partisan atmosphere?
There grew this myth in thinking about US foreign policy that politics stops at the water's edge was always the phrase, and that somehow there was no criticism of the president. He was engaged in dealing with international issues, or especially when he was traveling abroad. That myth is just that, a myth.
I don't believe there ever was a golden period of American bipartisan consensus on foreign policy. Or if there was, we needed Adolf Hitler to create it. You know, it's not as if we've had a sustained period of mutual cooperation and lack of political acrimony since 1945.
The Republican Party has taken control of Congress, and it can now filibuster in the Senate. Will it use its newfound power to obstruct some of Obama's foreign policy goals, such as increased arms control?
There's no question that Republicans are looking to weaken the president where they can, and they don't want to give him any victories. As we saw on health care, they were trying to prevent that from going forward, and they may decide that they don't want him to have this arms control victory. But it's a bit of a dangerous game for the Republicans to play, to oppose everything that he's doing.
And how will it portray the $100 billion spent in Afghanistan while the economy at home suffers?
Right now, even if Joe Sixpack may not like that $100 billion a year expense, he's not going to see it as the fundamental argument about Afghanistan, and certainly his political leadership is not going to either.
So how much does Obama have to look over his shoulder? Is he set for a bumpy ride? Is the country turning to the right? The answer again lays with the voters.
So we've spoken to experts and analysts in Washington, D.C. about how they see the view from America, but one of the things that's often remarked upon is that things can seem very different from outside Washington. So we're heading out of the city on the famous Route 66 to talk to some people on Main Street America to see how they see things.
We stopped in the small town of Marshall, Virginia, a key state which was a surprise win for Obama in 2008. We asked the town's voters whether they saw Obama's domestic or foreign policies as more important to their support.
The domestic.
And in particular, which ones?
The health program, that's very important, and getting people back to work.
And even in this small town, the electorate's diversity of opinions was clear.
Well, I'm worried about both, because what he's done here domestically, the American people are worried about that. Also, if he can't do the right thing now here in this country, what's he going to do for us internationally?
We also asked how people saw these policies since Obama's election.
I have traveled a little bit since his election, and certainly there was a lot of hope in other countries where I had visited that he was going to come in and make a real change.
The Congress and the Senate, they have stuck together and they've done everything he wanted to do, but not what the American people wanted to do. That's what the Tea Party is all about.
I don't know if we're doing too much. I think we're carrying a heavier load than some. I think everybody needs to step up, certainly with what's going on in other parts of the world. America is always, seems to be, at least in my opinion, the first to come to the aid of other countries.
But finally, it seems to come back to all politics being local.
I still think that the local issues of domestic issues are going to be the ones that are going to count.